Hey everybody, it's Mike from Get Your Rock Out. I am very pleased to be sat here with Tommy Victor from Prong.
Hey,
how you doing, man?
How you doing, man? Pretty good.
Cool. How's the tour going so far?
It's going amazing. It's beyond my expectations. It's been going fantastic. Every show has been crazy good. So, I mean, and we're only a week in, so, and the record's not out yet, but I guess people have been hearing good things about the new Ruining Lives Prong record, and stuff gets leaked, so, you know, the two new songs that we're playing off the album have been going over great, so that's a good sign.
Cool.
The album comes out in the end of April.
It seems like in all the recent press you've been doing that you're very excited about this record. You've said that it's the fastest written and recorded Prong album, but with more great songs than any previous record.
Through the grace of God, I guess it happened. I mean, you know, I'm not even being facetious about that. I had to go in and do it, and didn't second guess anything. So it was a big confidence builder for me, because I spent so many years second guessing every little thing that I do all the time. So this one was just, we didn't have time. I mean, I just had to write songs, record them, you know, produce the record, then worked on vocals with Steve Evans, produced it, and, you know, everything worked out like really great, and it was just a miracle.
So the whole thing just happened without much preparation, really? It just kind of, it all happened?
Exactly. There wasn't a hell. The only preparation I had an October tour with playing guitar with Danzig, and then I had my iPad, actually it's laying right over there, and I have GarageBand on it. And I just like, well, in November, I got to go in and finish up all these songs. I had, like, some preparation was just coming up with riffs while I was on the road. And then if I had a hotel room, I'd be reading, writing lyrics. Then when I got back home, I had to go right in and start going on Pro Tools and start, you know, constructing songs out of, like, these scattered riffs and ideas. And it was just a lot of work. But, you know, every day I got up, did it. Worked on the songs, worked on the lyrics, then started working with this engineer, Chris Collier, and we wrote some songs together and put it all together, and then eventually did the vocals with Steve, and that was like a 3-month period, including mixing and vocals, so it was crazy. From November to February, middle of February.
So does that kind of preparation, you know, that kind of just rushing into it and that kind of getting it all done, it sounds like it helped the songs in a way? There's maybe a bit of that aggression, you know, from that kind of process?
I mean, again, it's some kind of outside force or something, because, I mean, the sense of urgency was there, but, you know, I've had senses of urgency in the past, and then I just get more confused. I guess because of the deadline, it really helped out, you know, so...
You have said that the song "Come to Realize" is something new. What did you mean by that?
I think there's the time signature in it, you know. So it's more of a math metal song. It's got like an alternative metal vibe, and then it just goes into this crazy riff that's like something that I haven't really done before. I mean, it's like Meshuggah meets My Bloody Valentine or something, you know.
It's kind of interesting you say that, because, you know, Prong have had so many different descriptions leveled at their style of music: thrash, alternative, industrial, crossover, hardcore. Do you think the music is the sum of all these things, or is there one label that kind of fits more than the others?
No, it's a sum of all things, because there's definitely hardcore in there, and there's post-punk music, and then there's industrial metal, thrash metal, so it's all in there. I can't really pinpoint it myself. I asked the producer, like Steve Evans, I was like, what do you call this? And he goes, I don't know, it's a hybrid, so...
I got to ask you about the early days. You worked at CBGB, right?
Yeah, I mean, from 86 to 90.
Right. I mean, you must have seen some stuff there. I mean, what was it like working behind the scenes at that place? It's quite a famous, notorious place.
I mean, it was an amazing experience. I used to work on the hardcore matinees, so it was just pandemonium every Sunday. You know, bands like Youth of Today, Agnostic Front, we roll in there. It was amazing.
Did you ever do a Bad Brains show there?
No.
Right. Because that's my image of CBGB.
No, they were never like they would do these rock hotel shows, which they would move around. They had like one on Jane Street. The original Rock Hotel was in the Jane Hotel, and then they started putting those shows on at the Ritz, and then they went even bigger to the larger Ritz. So by the time, excuse me, the Bad Brains started being solid, I mean, it was they had moved out of there.
Right.
And when I originally saw the Bad Brains, they were playing this place called A7, which, I mean, like, I don't know if you could tell, but the stage and the club was like the size of this back lounge. I mean, it was so small. And they'd have a lot of bands there, like, I mean, this is the early days, like 81. And like the desolate Avenue A and 7th Street, where now it's like all like just rich bistros and stuff now, but it was like a desolate, bombed out area, and that's where the Bad Brains really made their mark. And they played like small clubs. But no, the CB's was really mostly centered. It was eclectic. You'd have groups like Swans, Live Skull, earlier than that, of course, Ramones and the B-50, I mean, not the B-52s, the Talking Heads. I mean, it was a whole bunch of stuff. When I started working there, I mean, the big bands that were rolling in there, like Living Colour was massive at that time. And they would play every Wednesday. I mean, it was so many different situations. There was a lot of different kind of music there during the week. And then Sunday, there was the hardcore matinees. Sometimes they started doing metal nights. Like we had like Possessed and Dark Angel in there. I did that show. It was so many great things. I did Soundgarden when they still, they were on Sub Pop with Das Damen, and it was just so many crazy nights there, and different people, different theme nights, like Homestead Records. We would come in there. You had like Green River, which became Pearl Jam. They played like on a Tuesday night, like at 11:30, 12 midnight. There was like 2 people there. It was like, so many different great acts came through there in that time. We didn't have the internet. I mean, you'd have to go to CBs or clubs to see bands or to experience it. You couldn't just go, hey, I'm gonna, I mean, there was no way of streaming anything. It was like you had to go out,
And did anything that you saw at CBGB's kind of influence you when you were making your own music?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially sitting behind the board. And I'm like a lot of those bands I just mentioned, I would see things that I thought that they were doing wrong, and I'd be like, well, I can't do that. And then like stuff that was strong, I would pick out. Like there's this band I always talk about as Rest in Pieces, and Armand from Sick of All was the lead singer of it, and I thought they influenced a lot of people. I mean, they were like the first hardcore band that was groove metal. And I heard that, and I was like, well, Prong was sort of like doing that, a little bit of that, like sort of a Bad Brains style, like you were saying. I mentioned the Bad Brains, but they took it to like a more metalized version. I mean, nobody really liked them. They didn't really have, so Prong, mixed in like the ultra thrash with the dissonant noise and the groove metal. That's another genre you failed to mention was groove metal. People go, Prong is a groove metal band.
There's just so many.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we've changed. Every record's a little bit different. We let things go, bring it back, and focus on different things. Now, I mean, Prong has good songs. I mean, we just do, we write songs, and the vocals are stronger than they ever were, and it's who knows what it's a hybrid of a lot of different things. Just modern, hard rock. But back to, I mean, I would see a lot of different bands and CVs and comment on them. And actually, there's audition nights that I worked, and it's funny, like bands would roll in there, and I would have to, anywhere from 6 to 8 bands. I would set them up, give them sound check, mix them, do the show, and then I was the guy that would pass the bands. I'd write in a book, and so. Of course, back then, being a complete, a-hole, if I didn't like somebody, I'd be go, these guys were terrible, even though they were good. But no, I would try to be honest. And one of the bands that I mixed on audition, I was Helmet.
Right.
And I was like, and that was before they were groove metal or whatever you want to call it. They were like a complete noise band. It was funny. They had long hair, and then I think they saw Rest in Pieces too, and then they became when Helmet came. So we owe a lot to them.
So there exists a book somewhere of you writing down all these bands that you had on?
Yeah, no, absolutely. There was an audition book. It was actually in a notebook, and that's a great question. I've never thought of that where that book is somewhere.
Just locked away in the vault somewhere.
So actually, I was like the tastemaker for the club for a long time as well.
That's pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
yeah.
So.
What's next for you guys after this tour's finished, once the album's out?
We're trying to put an American tour together, and well, actually, after this tour, we come back to Europe. We're doing a bunch of festivals, like we do. Was it Bloodstock?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, we do Wacken. There's a bunch of other festivals. I mean, it's like 10 of them. I can't remember all the names. They're all on the continent. And then you know, we do a run of club shows, mainly like in Holland and Germany. Then we're gonna do an American tour, and then hopefully come back, you know. And then I think I'm gonna go in the studio again and start working on some new material for the next record already. So I have, because I have like a couple of weeks off, and I'll just keep, you know, moving ahead. I always do that. Like, I'll go in and I'll write some riffs and stuff like that. So.
All right. Well, we're just about out of time here, but do you have a message right into the camera for all our readers at Get Your Rock Out?
Get Your Rock Out. It's a great thing to read. But also check out our new official bootleg, and it's called Unleashed in the West, and you can find that on Bandcamp, as well as the new Ruining Lives record. And the Turnover is on 7-inch vinyl, with Revenge Best Served Cold on the reverse remix. Check out prongmusic.com or Prong Music on Twitter. You can hit me up. I'll contact you on Twitter.
Tommy Victor from Prong. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you, Michael.
Cheers.